Like I tell people all the time, it's amazing of the stories that I come across on social media that does not get pushed into the spotlight the way that it should be. Now you're probably looking at this picture and you're probably saying to yourself, oh Lord, what did this woman do? Well, trust and believe what got her in this position was entirely not her fault. This woman's name is Elaine McAlister, and I believe a couple years ago, back in, I want to say 2023, if I'm not mistaken, she was getting ready to go on a flight to go on vacation to Jamaica, when all of a sudden she was detained at the airport because allegedly she looked like a person that they were going after, and she got detained. She got falsely arrested. She was held in jail for 4 days and she missed her trip. And that's not even the worst of it, but I'm gonna let the article I'm gonna read explain more, because it's absolutely crazy. And I hope that whatever case she has, I hope she wins everything. It was over a misdemeanor charge of marijuana that Elaine McAlister was falsely arrested at an airport before embarking on a flight to Jamaica, spending the next 4 nights in jail rather than on vacation, before authorities realized they had arrested the wrong black woman. Now, Elaine McAlister, age 31, has filed a lawsuit against the Kansas City airport police officers who arrested her at Kansas City International Airport in 2023, accusing them of false arrest, racial discrimination, and harassment. Plaintiff believes that the unfair treatment she experienced was discrimination as it relates to her race, according to the lawsuit filed in Platte County, Missouri on January 31st by the Holman Chavon law firm in Kansas City. As a result of the discrimination, false arrest, and false imprisonment, the plaintiff has experienced and continues to experience significant emotional distress and loss of enjoyment of life. The defendants listed in the lawsuit are Kansas City Airport police officers Kyle Grewalt and Matthew Zills, as well as the city of Kansas City, which oversees the airport. McAlister's arrest is only one out of hundreds of arrests over the years of black people getting arrested for, quote, matching the description of another black person. Many times it just takes a similar license plate number for police to falsely accuse black people of crimes they did not commit. Other times it just takes a black person driving a car that slightly resembles the car they are searching for. McAlister's arrest came as a shock to her close friends, including Erica Radley, who described her as one of the most honest, reliable, and most importantly, a law-abiding citizen. Elaine is one of the most kindest girls I know, added Victoria McDaniel in the same Facebook post discussing her unlawful arrest. She's a loving mother to her son and been a friend of our family for years. Went to school with my granddaughter, pretty much lived and stayed at our home for years. In other words, a part of our family. She's a nurse and has a wonderful mother. She did the right thing. Sorry you had to go through this, Elaine. All of us know you personally knows they messed with the wrong woman. Go get them. In the same Facebook post, Caitlin Monroe said McAlister is really one of the most kind people ever. Disgusting this happened. I hope she 100% wins the lawsuit. The lawsuit states that McAlister was actually a victim of identity theft by another black woman who used her identity when she was arrested for possession of marijuana in Kansas in August 2023, then failed to show up in court, prompting an arrest warrant. However, the claim accuses the officers of using an invalid warrant to arrest her because it was issued in Kansas while they were in Missouri. It was only after they arrested her that a Missouri prosecutor obtained a valid Missouri warrant, but that's not how it is supposed to work. The lawsuit also states that Missouri law does not permit warrantless arrest on fugitives unless they are accused of much more serious crimes, which state law describes as crimes punishable by death or imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. In other words, felony cases, which was not the case here. The arresting officers also never bothered to obtain her fingerprints to see if they matched the fingerprints of the actual woman who was wanted on the marijuana charge and who was not named in the lawsuit. The arresting officers also had a photo of the actual suspect, which her lawyers argued did not resemble McAlister other than that they were both black women. It is obvious to any reasonable person, let alone a law enforcement officer, that the person in the Johnson County, Kansas booking photograph has no similarity to plaintiff other than the appearance to be a black female, the claim states. Also, the actual suspect had multiple tattoos, which McAlister did not have, but the arresting officers chose to ignore those details. And if you look at her mugshot right here, she does have one tattoo that looks like that's on her left, a little bit below the top of her left shoulder. This information should have confirmed to defendants Greenwald and Zills that the plaintiff was not the person who had been arrested in Johnson County, Kansas in August 2023 and was not the subject of an arrest warrant. The incident took place on October 14th in 2023 when McAlister arrived at the airport with a friend to fly to Montego Bay, Jamaica. But before boarding her flight, she was approached by officers Greenwald and Zills, as well as an unnamed U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officer, who all asked for her identification. Not understanding what was happening, McAlister provided the officers with her driver's license and passport, which was when she was placed in handcuffs and informed she was being arrested for a warrant out of Kansas relating to a misdemeanor marijuana charge. The cops told her she had been pulled over and arrested for possession of marijuana in Johnson County, Kansas on August 19, 2023, and then failed to appear in court, which prompted the arrest warrant. But McAlister, who lives in Missouri, says she had not been arrested in Johnson County that day. She also told the officers that her driver's license had been stolen, which may be why it ended up in the hands of the other black woman. McAlister began crying as her friend tried to tell the cops the photos of the two women did not match, but the cops transported her to the Platte County Jail anyway. It was not until 4 days later, on October 18th, that an employee at the jail asked McAlister to show him her tattoos, which did not match the tattoos of the actual suspect, which is when she was released. Defendants Greenwald and Zills knew or should have known that the arrest of plaintiff was illegal and that defendants had no right to arrest, detain, or imprison said plaintiff. As a result of these actions, the plaintiff has experienced emotional distress, which has manifested itself in ways including but not limited to anxiety, fear, humiliation, degradation, and stress. Man, that's a wild story right there. So they did they handled that all the way wrong. And you know what? I hope she, like her friend said, wins 100% of her lawsuit and she can take as many trips to Jamaica or wherever it is that she wants to go on their dime. Like, they could have really messed this woman up in more ways than one. They could have ruined her livelihood. They said this woman is a nurse, so she's making pretty decent money. She could have lost her job behind this. Now, it didn't state anywhere in the article about her employment, so it sounds to me like she's still employed by the hospital wherever it is that she works, which is a good thing. Imagine being blindsided like that. So basically, again, she was the victim of someone stole her license. It ended up in the hands of another black woman. This person was out there and they were for a marijuana charge, and they tried to get this person. And then when they asked her who she was and they said the name, and they said, "Oh, we have someone under that name that we're looking for." But they said the tattoos didn't match, nor did the woman in the picture look anything like her, except for the fact that they were both black women. I wish they had a picture of the actual suspect they were looking for so I can see for myself. But the usual thing is they always say that all black people look alike, which is a damn lie. We come in various different shades, shapes, sizes, all of that. But hey, in their eyes, they got the person that they were looking for, even though that clearly was not her. And it took them 4 days of her being locked up in jail, 4 days, for them to realize, oh, we had the wrong person, when someone there used common sense and said, let me look at her picture and the picture of the suspect. And they said, oh, this is clearly not her. If those incompetent cops would have did that there, then this would not have happened, but they didn't do that. See, all they saw was a black woman with the same name, and they just thought that they had a win. But that's the thing. They had to have known that it wasn't her because they knew what the suspect looked like. You could have looked at the suspect and look at this woman and tell that they were not the same person, but you decided to lock her up anyway. That's why I hope she wins her lawsuit just on that alone. I hope she drains them dry for that. And like the article also stated, it's so many identity theft reports, but there's just as many people who are black who get falsely accused of theft all the time because of quote unquote mistaken identity. Take it from somebody who actually was the victim of identity theft twice in their life. It is no fun. It's really no fun at all. It wasn't to the extent of someone taking my license or anything like that. Like someone got into my my phone account or through the phone carrier that I have and started to buy different items, like try to add a phone to the account. And usually when something like that happens, that's an inside job. That's typically an inside job because they're the ones that have access to your account. So somebody there who worked for the company actually did that. And I looked at that, I was like, wait a minute, why do I have 3 lines, including mine on there? Where's these other 2 lines coming from? And then at the time, I didn't even have an iPhone, I had an Android. So I'm like, why would I have 2 additional iPhones there? And then when I looked at them, they basically put my name there, but they spelled it different ways to try to throw people off. But yeah, that identity theft is no joke. But as far as this story goes right here, I hope she gets her money. I hope she gets paid swell, very nicely, might I add, and go and splurge and do whatever she can on their dime. I wouldn't be surprised if they settle out of court for this, because this is a case they probably don't want to deal with, because they already know that they lost. I don't see how they could possibly win, but then again, stranger things have happened.